a lot of hearsay as to whether or not the United States is going to be involved with this green thing or the yellow thing that the Philippines is doing as far as travel is concerned. However, there are other costs that have now been placed on people in the Philippines that are traveling around the Philippines that are in excess of what the plane tickets themselves cost. I'll give you a brief synopsis of that. So let's just say there's a piece of equipment. It's a power ladder. They call it a power ladder or a power lift that lifts up to 2,000 pounds. And there's a company in and around the Davao City area that I can buy the equipment from, but I don't know that they actually have the equipment. And they want me to send them $2,500. So it's the same process that the rebar bending companies want. They want you to send money into their bank account without any guarantee you're going to get the equipment. Because I will tell you that when Daisy and I were together back in 2017, we went to Davao. And we went to the equipment company in question that said they had the lift. And they didn't have the lift that they said they had on the phone, and they didn't have it at that warehouse. So we were basically stationed in the area of the J Mall, right around the corner from the J Mall in our hotel. So it was just a short cab ride into the North Cargo area, or I forgot, near the big mall that has the guitar in it. It wasn't far. It was about a 5-minute ride. So we went to this place, and they didn't have the lift there at all. They had the lift at another warehouse, which took, the first cab ride might have been 60 pesos. The second cab ride was about 100 plus pesos because of traffic. And then the guy who said they knew where the warehouse was, who got directions from the first warehouse that we were in, had no idea where the warehouse was, and we drove around for 15 minutes to find it, only to find the warehouse with the product that wasn't the product that they advertised or said they had on the phone. So I didn't buy it. I would have bought it then. So now that company says they have the lift that I want, but they want me to put my money directly into their bank account. So what will that cost me? If I put the money in the bank account and they send me the wrong lift, even though they have pictures of the correct lift, they had pictures of the correct lift last time. So I wouldn't do that. So I wanted to go to Davao and buy it, and then I will put it on the ship from Davao back to Bohol. So what does an airline ticket for me cost to go to Davao and back? Well, I will tell you that the ticket cost for me to go to Davao and back, to go to Davao with a 30-day lead time, the ticket is 2,500 pesos, $50. And as long as you're ordering it 30 days in advance, even during the holidays, in other words, like I could order the ticket from, say, January 7th, and then, which is 30 days away, I can buy the ticket for $50 there and $50 back. However, there are hotel expenses, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what it costs to go there. So right now, the way they have it set up, if you're not vaccinated, this is for everybody. If you're not vaccinated, there's something called an S Pass, Sierra Pass. So you could look that up, Sierra-Pass. You need to get that. within 72 hours of traveling. So you have to go to a doctor and pay a doctor to get the S Pass. That's about, it ranges up to 1,000 pesos to go get the pass. However, in addition to that, you are required to get a swab test, not from Bohol to Davao, but from Davao back to Bohol. I don't know why they have it worked out like that, but you do need the S Pass, so that's 1,000 pesos. And then on the way back, you need the swab test, and that's an iffy price of somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 pesos. So let's just say it's 4,000 pesos, and it's going to require a half a day of your time. So you have a half a day of your time to get the S Pass, because by the time you travel somewhere, get the pass, and come back, it's 4 or 5 hours. And the same for the swab test. So let's say the swab test is 4,000 and the S Pass is 1,000, and one half a day for one and a half a day for the other. That's 2 days on the way back. If you value your time at $50 an hour, you already spent $500 in time. That is, time is money. That's the bottom line of the whole ordeal. And there's still, I asked the company for pictures of the unit, and I asked them over a week ago, and they haven't provided me with pictures yet. They say the answer in the Philippines is just come here, sir, or just go there. Even if you're in Bohol, they say you just go to Manila and take a look for a cargo container. Just go to Manila and buy one. That's like a week of your time, and there's no guarantee there's a cargo container in Manila. They just tell you to go to Manila and look. So that's the same thing. So if I were to go to Davao, it would be $50 for the plane ticket there, and say 2 days in a hotel. That's another $50 with food. That's $100. And then to come back, $50. That's $150. But it's another 5,000 pesos for the swab test, or 4,000 pesos. So we're looking at more money for the swab test and the S Pass. For both directions, you need the S Pass. That's 2,000 pesos. More money for the S Pass and the swab test than the cost of the ticket. So the ticket cost is $100, but the swab test in both directions, the S Pass in both directions and the swab test is 6,000 pesos. So it's 20% more for the testing, but 2 whole days to get the testing done. So if you had 2 destinations, then you would have to pay that money twice. But when you figure in your time, it's not just $120 for the swab test and the S Pass. It's a whole day of your life at $50 an hour. Add $500 to that time. So now you have $700 for costs, including your time, if you're not vaccinated. However, if you are vaccinated, then you can just travel freely back and forth. So it's up to you whether you want to get vaccinated. But what they're doing, the point of this video, is they are making it so expensive and so time-consuming that no one will ever want to move around the Philippines unvaccinated because of the time factor. If you had a job, you would have to take off 1 day to get one day to get the S Pass, and 1 day you're going to lose to get the swab test. There's no guarantee you could get both of those in 1 day. And they say that the Red Cross will do it for 2,000 pesos. Go ahead and call up the Red Cross. They don't answer their phone. They don't guarantee you an appointment. Go ahead and do that. They don't guarantee you anything. You got to go to a regular doctor at that point. So if you figure in your time at $50 an hour, that's what my time is worth. $500 in time, and $120 for the S-Pass twice and one swab test. That's $620. However, if you're vaccinated, it costs $100. So in the title, it's a little misleading. I said 3 times the actual original cost. If you figure in your time, it's 5 or 6 times the actual cost. So my point again is that they are making it impossible to move around the Philippines in a timely manner or fashion. And you got to remember, you have to do all of this in a foreign location to where you are. If you're coming from Davao to Bohol, you have to find, before you get here, a place that will give you the swab test upon arrival. Or you're at their mercy to get the swab test at whatever they charge. And minimum for the swab test that I've ever seen is 1,000. However, on the internet, it says it could be between 3,000 and 4,000 pesos. And if you are traveling around, you don't have an option. When the plane lands, they're going to send you to a specific location. I find that interesting. I don't know what you find it to be. So I'm going to check. And Jollibee Ashkill, I have the tomatoes that I talked about in yesterday's video. I have the can. The name of the tomatoes is Isabella tomatoes, and they're imported from Italy. But I'll show you that. If you're online, say hello. 4 gulps and 7 bubbles. Boy, that's about all I can take. So let me go check out the comments. Let's see what we have here. How do we refresh? The internet here is absolutely terrible today. Okay, so we're going to go to my live show. We're going to shut that off. And then we'll take a look at the comments. No comments. Very nice. And that's it. And that topic is done. But I will show Jollibee Ashkill the can of tomatoes that I have here. These are the one I just found this can in cargo container too. Isabella tomatoes, imported from Italy. And then now, when I went to a restaurant a few weeks ago, a different restaurant from the prawn farm, I found out that the restaurant I went to buys these tomatoes now in the Philippines. They weren't specific on the costs, but I saw the cans in the kitchen. So now Isabella is importing tomatoes into the Philippines. But before that, you had to have the restaurant that I saw these tomatoes in, which was an Italian restaurant, Giuseppe's. Giuseppe's used to import directly from Italy. They would bring a whole cargo container of goods. And now Giuseppe's has been closed down for a year and a half. But they would bring in, several hundred cases of tomatoes. They'd bring in all their own provolones, salamis, pepperonis, all of the mozzarella, everything. They brought a refrigerated truck in, and they brought the locatelli or the Parmesan grating cheese. But before, 2 years ago, they would have to bring in their own cargo, or their own reefer, a refrigerated cargo container. Now, the restaurant I went to 2 weeks ago said that they have Isabella tomatoes somewhere, not so far from here, near the airport. And I didn't care, because I don't really want any more tomatoes. But if I do, I will go back to the restaurant. And the people at the kitchen, they had no idea. When you're in the Philippines and you talk to anybody but the actual physical boss of the company, you're probably not going to get good information. Probably not. I mean, look what happened with the cost of shipping the rebar bender 10 miles. It's all the guy does is ship stuff from Bohol, Tagbilaran City, in whatever direction, 10 miles. It went from 8,000. How much is it? 8,000 or 10,000 estimate. No, I need a firm price. 10 or 15,000 pesos, sir. Please let me talk to the boss. The boss is right next to him. The boss gets on the phone. This all happened in less than 120 seconds. Sir, I want to know how much it would be for the rebar bender. It weighs 300 kilos, 600 pounds. To bring it from the city of Tagbilaran to Dolho in Panglao is 10 miles exactly, not 12, not 13. How much would it be? Estimate price 20 or 25,000 pesos, sir. So you're not going to get a firm price on anything. You have to go get now. So I would have to go to the city and have that guy write it in a contract. Otherwise, I would be at his mercy when he delivered the rebar bender. So I canceled the order. Now I've canceled the order twice. Once because the boss was flip-flopping around with 20 or 25,000 pesos. And the second time, when I ordered it and paid for the rebar bender, the company that was going to deliver it was the same company. And you don't find out that information until you press pay now, confirm this order, and you get a confirmation that you bought the order. And I was on the phone with Lazada both times, and both times it says free shipping in Lazada, and both times the Lazada operator confirmed that the shipping is free. And it is. It's free from Manila to Bohol. After that, could be $500 to bring it 10 miles. It's not realistic. So anytime you ask anybody for any instructions or any pricing in the Philippines, you should get it in writing. That's about the only way to do business here. And now you're not going to get it in writing. The only thing I got in writing in the last 2 years was how much it was going to cost to do a cap and crown on my tooth. There's a chart. It's this much money and this much money for the final porcelain crown. And that's it. And that includes x-rays, pain medication, office consultation fees, and actually now it's going on 4 trips for the first half, and we're back yesterday for the third time. So it's 4 trips and 4 trips minimum. So it's 8 trips to the city, 8 days of your time, and about 20,000 pesos roughly, which is a good price. And the guy seems to do good work. So I'm happy about that. But they have a set price. And I'll tell you what, for $400 for the work he's done, for the trips I've been back and forth to the city, I think that's a reasonable price. You have to go there, you have to get the root killed, and then they put medicine in the root canals, and then they put a temporary filling in, something soft. And you have to come back 3 days later, because if there's an infection, it'll happen within those 3 days. So there was no infection, so he took out the temporary filling, he put more medicine in the root, and then he put another temporary filling in. Then we waited 1 week to confirm that there was not going to be any infection, and the inflammation from the original procedure dissipated. So no more swelling. And then at that point, then he made the impression for the temporary crown. That's the third trip. So he has to take like a rubber impression from the bottom and a rubber impression from the top. That was the third trip. And then the fourth trip was to put in the temporary crown. Okay, and now I have to go back one more time to get the permanent crown. So actually, it was 7. I think it was 7 trips total, not 8. And then he'll clean my teeth, and then I'll have a temporary crown for $400, exactly $400 to kill the root, fill it up, put a temporary crown, and then have a permanent porcelain crown made. And by the way, I asked him if a person could get a set of dentures for $400, and he said absolutely yes. And just in case anybody's wondering, you can get a set of plastic dentures if you have no teeth at all. It's extra to take the teeth out that you have, but if you have no teeth at all and you want to get a full set of dentures, it's only $400. So now that's for plastic dentures. If you want something that looks more realistic, it could go up to $1,000 in the Philippines. So, and then that's what it is. Now I only asked just to find out the prices of that. So let's see if there's any comments, and I'll see if I have anything else to talk about. I don't think I do. I did have a nice time at the prawn farm yesterday. I don't see any comments here. I like that. And I do have a secret. So Jollibee Ashkill, I did thank you for the super chat yesterday, and Jerry, thank you, and Louis Paganpons, you said you had my email, but you haven't sent me a notice. And I will tell you my secret, Louis Paganpons. So if you have the time and you want to send me an email, you're going to have to send me more than just the email now, because I don't want some troll making up a Louis Paganpons email address. So we'll have to talk on the phone if that's possible, or Skype if that's possible, because we have been trolled hard in the last few days. If I told you how many people have trolled my channel with comments that are in the spam box, probably 4, and just yesterday alone, 4 comments got spammed. One was straight up and down trolling. I don't understand why you people do that. I'm just going to block you. It's not complicated. I mean, if you want to write some long story about this, that, and the other thing, trying to demean me or degrade me, you're just going to get blocked. So what's the point? It's up to you. It's your tongue. Okay, then I'm going to refresh this page. I don't know what's going on here today with this internet. Okay. Sorry, Mike, will do. Moving to Ohio. I'm currently driving. Okay, Louis. Thank you. Yeah. Wow. Moving to Ohio. I could tell you an Ohio story. I do have an Ohio story. I have a story for probably 30 different states in America. So I'm driving. I buy this 1976 van from Skip. His name was Skippy. He was the Commodore at the Howard Beach Yacht Club, which is really located in Hamilton Beach. Why they call it the Howard Beach Yacht Club. And then, so I need a truck. Well, I had a car. I had an old Oldsmobile, a 77 Oldsmobile. And what I was doing with this Oldsmobile is I was putting stuff on the roof and filling up the trunk, and I was dragging telephone poles behind the car. We would lash a telephone pole with a piece of cable to the back of the car, and I punched a hole through the trunk, and it went through the trunk and around the fender, around the bumper, down on the side near the frame. And I was dragging 30, 35-foot telephone poles all around Howard Beach from one job to the other. Like, I would have the poles delivered in Ramblersville. Then I'd have to bring the poles to 95th Street or 99th Street. And I would just drag the poles. Police didn't care. They saw me often. And anyway, so this guy Skippy, I'm in Ramblersville, and Skippy was visiting somebody. I was doing George's house. George is the guy who introduced me to that guy with the white hair, the crazy guy. Not Woody Allen. Oh, man. Damn. Vanessa Del Rey was coming over to George's house to party with that crazy guy that's Woody Allen's age and George's age and me. Back in, had to be 1988 or 89. And what was that guy? Not Woody Allen. The guy with the white hair. Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol. So I'm at George's house. I got the house up in the air about 6 feet. We raised it up 6 feet, and we were cribbing it to make it permanent at 6 feet. And that was the day that Vanessa Del Rey came over. And George and Andy Warhol asked me if I wanted to party. So the men continued cribbing. Anyway, so Skippy comes by. It was pretty much, I think that was the same day. A lot of stuff happened that day. A lot of weird stuff happened that day. Not strange stuff, weird stuff. So he asks me if I want to buy a van. And I said, yeah. How much? He goes, $300. Yeah, because I was transporting all my tools in the back of my car. They didn't fit. They would flatten out the shocks. The springs would be, the car would be bottoming out. So I go look at the van, and the van is in weeds. I'm telling the Ohio story now. The van is in weeds that are 8 feet, 9 feet high. And we have to, and the weeds where the van was, if you go to Howard Beach and you Google the canal system in Howard Beach, you're going to find an island that we call Fiddler Crab Island or Rat Island, okay? Because it's a little island that's right at the bottom of Lenahan's Bridge. So if you Google Howard Beach and you Google Lenahan's Bridge, I'll show it to you on a map. You're going to see this little island. And the only way you could get to the island is by boat. And it's not a big island. It's not much more than 100 feet in any direction. And it's all bog, B-O-G, clay and bog. And when we were kids, the fiddler crabs on that island were the biggest fiddler crabs you ever saw in your life. So we would go there if we wanted to get fiddler crabs for bait, and we would that's where you would go to get fiddler crabs. Now I would never sell the crabs because some people spent all day there catching fiddler crabs to sell for bait. Anyway, the van is right on the edge of the water where the Fiddler Crab Island is, but opposite the island. And we go through these weeds, and there's an old 1976 van parked in the weeds. And we smashed the weeds down with our feet. And the guy, Skippy, he gets into the van, and he goes, "This is the van." And I look around. The tires are not so good at all, but they had air in them, but they were all low. The van might have been there for 3 years. And the roof was pretty much rusted out in some places, but the side of the van, the back rear wheel, you could climb in from the back rear wheel. You could climb through into the van. It was so rusted out. The wheel well was gone. And Skippy opens up the door to the driver's side door, and there's vines, and he's pulling vines out and pulling out nests of whatever was nested in there. The 3 years and sitting in the marshes, in the weeds, a long time. And he pulls all that stuff out of the van, and he gets in the van, and I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm going to start it up." You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. I told him, I said, "If that thing starts up, I'll give you the 300 right now." He gets in the van and he starts pumping, pump, 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 pump. The foot pedal, pump, pump, pump. I bet you he pumped it 100 times. And then apparently he felt gas going into the carburetor because he took the engine cover off, which was inside the van, and I guess you could smell it. he was in the van. I was outside the van laughing with my friend Bobby. Bobby and me are looking. He's not going to get that thing started. Boom, 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 boom. And then he smelled gas, and he turns the key, and this thing starts up. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. I took $300 out of my pocket. I said, "You go get the registration," and the registration was at the yacht club. And he gave me the registration, and I went and registered it. I put tires on it. I brought it to my cousin's automotive shop. He had an automotive shop in Long Island. I said, I need to put this rubber on the van, all new rubber, and I need spark plugs, a distributor cap, and wires, and a condenser. And my Uncle Bob says to me, well, first of all, he asked me how much I paid for it. He said, boy, they saw you coming. So my cousin only had like race cars and stuff. He wasn't so successful. He was really good at double charging people, but he really wasn't a good mechanic. But anyway, so he charges me whatever he charged me. It wasn't much, a couple $100 to put the tires on, a distributor cap, and wires. So I waited while he did that, and my uncle and I were talking. No, this is my uncle. I call him Uncle Bob since I was 5 years old. This is where we lived when I was born. I was born and brought up in his house in the basement. But he wasn't really my uncle, but we called him Uncle Bob and his wife, my aunt. So he goes, wait, what are you going to do with this? I said, well, I'm going to use it for work, but it was like September or October maybe. The weeds were dead. They were all dried up. They were dried up brown weeds. They weren't all green. It was the fall. I says, and when I'm done with raising George's house, I'm going to take it across country. And he looks at me, he goes, I wouldn't take that thing out of Queens. And it was a lot of laughter because my cousin Dennis was there, my cousin Robert, my uncle, a couple of other guys that worked in the shop. And they go, you're going to what? And I said, I'm going to do a road trip. I'm going to go from New York. I'm going to go to Florida. Then I'm going to do Alabama, Arkansas. Then I'm headed across the country. I'm going to Michigan to stop off at my property in Michigan, because at this point I had property in Michigan. Then I'm going all over. I'm going to Arizona. I'm going to Wyoming. I'm going to go to Yellowstone National Park, the Grand Canyon, Flagstaff, Sedona. And then I'm going to California to visit my friend Tommy and his wife. And then I'm coming back to New York in March. And they were laughing. But that's what I did. But in between all of those road trips, I did a lot of work. I brought my tools. I had to do a lot of work to the van. Like one day, the clutch went right after I got on the road and before I got to Florida. So I bought a clutch, and I had a floor jack, and I had a bumper jack that would lift up 2 tons. So I had a big jack to jack up the front of the truck, 18 inches. And then I had a floor jack on wheels that I could pick up the transmission and change the clutch. Because you really need a transmission jack, but I had a floor jack and I know how to use it. So I jacked the front of the truck. I go to Napa and I buy a clutch, and I had the clutch in a day. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't even a day, because I know how to do that kind of work. So I put the clutch in, and then I did my road trip. And not so long after that, when I was in Ohio, the muffler fell off right from the knuckle past. It's a 6-cylinder, straight 6. The muffler fell off from the knuckle where the asbestos seal is. So about 1.5 feet away from the last piston, there's 2 flanges that bolt together with 3 bolts, and there's the asbestos fiber washer in there. The muffler broke off right there. It not at the flange, but just on the back side of the flange, which was good, but the thing that was bad about that, is when the muffler fell off or broke off, just right. I knew it was rotting off because you could hear it making a lot of noise, but I just didn't care how much noise it was. I was on the road. Well, when the muffler fell off, the front of the muffler hit something in the street. I don't know what it was. And it locked up solid on whatever it was on the highway. I was going about 60 miles an hour. It locked up solid, and it went, and then it kicked. Now it's solid, and the van is still going, and it kicked up like this and came right through the floor of the van. And when I turned around, the back half of the muffler was sticking up towards the ceiling of the van itself, and the muffler was underneath the van. That didn't go through the floor, just the pipe went through the floor. And then I had to put a muffler on, but I didn't want to put a muffler on. So I was in Ohio at the time, and I was only like, I just passed up a Midas muffler shop. This is the Ohio muffler story. I just passed up an Ohio muffler shop, just like it was like 150 feet back from where I was. And it was right on the side of the highway, directly like on the side of the highway. So I get off the ramp and I come around, and the muffler is sparking and dragging. The ramp was maybe half a mile up, and I come around and I come back and I pull up in front of the muffler shop, and a woman comes out. Pretty good sized woman. She was not obese, but she was a big woman. And she says, "I guess you want a muffler." So we laughed, and she goes, "It's a little bit late. Maybe we'll go out for dinner," because apparently she wanted to go out for dinner. So I said, "Okay." So we went out to dinner, and the next day she busted out a torch and torched the nuts off the flange, and she had ordered the muffler. It was a Napa right down the block, and her and I put the muffler on. I stayed there for one more day, and went out with her again that night and for dinner, and then I left. And then I went to California. I went to Arizona. I went to Flagstaff. I went to Sedona. I went to Wyoming. I went to Yellowstone National Park. I went to the Grand Canyon. I went to that place where they made the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that big mountain, the big rock where they played the music, and I was gonna climb it because it was on the way. Well, there was nothing on the way. I would just look at a map and say I want to go here or go there. I forget something Towers or whatever, Devil's Tower. So I decided to go to Devil's Tower, and I go there. And somebody said, "What are you going to do when you get there?" I said, "I'm going to climb it." They go, "No, you're not." I said, "Well, how big could it be?" They said, "It's big. And there's nothing up there. It's not like the movie." So I got to about, I don't know, the road would bring you very close to Devil's Tower. And I looked at this thing. It's a huge, huge mountain. It's just a big rock. And it would take, and I had my dog with me, it would take you like a couple of days to climb up that stupid thing. So I looked at it, I took a picture, and I left. I didn't ever climb Devil's Tower, but Ohio was fun. And then I pulled into a place in Arkansas. I needed gas. An abiding citizen. I'm going to check the comments in a minute, Louis. I pulled into a place. Was it Arkansas? I was in Texas for a long time. Texas is one of those states that never end. It might have been Texas. I have it in my journal, but I forgot which state it was, Arkansas or Texas. So I have to go to the bathroom. And I pull in and I get the attendant to give me gas. And I says, "I need to use the restroom." He goes, "It's in the back." And there's a hallway. You go into the hallway. And there's 3 doors. None of them are marked. So I just figured, I went into the door that was straight ahead. And I went into the door and I look on the, there are tables, not a table, not one table, not one big table, but multiple tables filled with cash, like 8, 10 inch stacks of cash, bundled in bundles. And I said, oh, this is the wrong door. And as I wouldn't touch any of that. That would be insanity. And as I turned around to walk out, the guy who told me to go to the bathroom was right behind me. And he goes, "It's the wrong door." I said, "Yeah, I kind of figured that." But I didn't touch his money. That's not my money. And I went to the bathroom and I paid him for the gas and whatever it was. And then he tells me, "Did you ever do shots of tequila?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You want to do some shots with us?" I said, "Yeah, okay." So I had nothing to do for 4 months. So I got freaking hammered with that guy. And in that gas station, I got completely inebriated where I couldn't walk. And then I went out to my van and I fell asleep. And the next day I woke up and I said goodbye to them. But that was just like it was a pretty cool thing to do. I mean, and these guys were serious. Whatever they were doing, whatever they were working with, they were selling more than gas. And I didn't care. It's none of my business. But we got freaking hammered. I mean, laughing and giggling and high-five. I didn't know these guys from Adam, but it was a fun thing. And then I guess they thought I was cool because I didn't touch their money. And then, I didn't touch their money because I'm still here to talk about it. But those guys were not selling gasoline. Whatever they were doing, it was not gasoline they were selling. So let me check this. So Louis Pagan Ponce. As you know, Mike, I'm Puerto Rican. For some reason, we didn't believe in registering or insuring our vehicles back in the 70s or 80s. And then you could get away with it. It was just a $50, $75 ticket. Hell, I remember paying for heavily discounted fake insurance ID cards in the Bronx. I wonder if you were getting those fake ID cards from Rick, my insurance agent, Rick. What was his name? Phil Rick. Philrick. Phil Rick was my insurance agent on 211th Street in the Bronx. Phil Rick. And I had, at the time, I got insurance from him when I was 17 because my dad wouldn't put me under his policy because of the house. And then, being that it was so expensive, Phil Rick somehow got me insurance for like $200 instead of $600. And then I had an accident, and then somehow he made that go away. Phil Rick, insurance agent, 211th Street, 204th Street, 204th to 211th Street in the Bronx. I remember those you could get fake ID, you could get fake registrations, you could do anything back then. I remember that. Phil Rick. Haven't thought about him in years. Phil Rick. I wonder if I could Google his name. Phil Rick. Philrick. Insure ANCE Bronx. B-R. Now he would be dead probably 20 years. But he might have a blurb still up. Maybe his son. Progressive Insurance. That's what I had, too. Phil Rick. Phil Rock. I had it. No. He's not there anymore. I'll show you where the van was. Lenahan's Bridge, right? Lenahan's Bridge, Hamilton Beach, Queens. I'll show you where the van was if it comes up on the map. Walking tour of Howard Beach, 97th Street. Walking tour of Howard Beach, Ramblersville. That's where I was working. But that's probably my video. Images for Lenahan's Bridge. Okay, here we are. No, that's not it. One of them. It's Lenahan's Bridge. Anyway, this is Lenahan's Bridge. Lenahan's Bridge is this bridge here. Hawtree Creek Basin, Howard Beach. And that was the basin. Now, this is the bridge that I lived across the street from. Lenahan's Bridge went over here. And then right on the other side of this bridge was Fiddler Crab Island. We don't see that here, though. Anyway, that was where the bridge was. I mean, that was where the island was. Well, I wish I could have found that Lenahan's Bridge, the island. It's really not that important. I guess you'd have to get a map. Lenahan's Bridge. Let's bring it up here. See if we could get a map. Maps. It's where the old van came from. Oh, we're not gonna find that. It's gonna be a little bit hard. Yeah. Well, anyway, if you don't believe me, I don't care. That's where I bought the van from. Anyway, that was in Ohio, Louis Pagan Ponce. If you're still listening. So, what I remember most about Ohio, actually, that girl's name was Darling. Darling. She was a nice lady. She was a really good mechanic. And she actually was a muffler, service technician. Her name, I remember, it comes back to you after a while. Darling, her name was. And what I remember most about Ohio is at that time in Ohio, it had just snowed lightly. And the hay, well, after they cut the hay, was still on the ground. And you could see on the side of the highway, and also from behind where the muffler shop was across the street, you could see for miles flat, F-L-A-T, flats. It was just perfectly flat. I'm sure there's mountains in Ohio, but not where that was. And it was just flat forever. It was flat. It was freaking, I'm going, how could anything be so flat? And it would be sometimes on the highway, you'd go sometimes 8 or 10 miles before you'd see a building on either side. Now, this is going back into, I had the barge at the time. I did have the barge at the time. So I had to be back in 89 or 90. And it was flat for miles, just flat. There was nothing. And also, there were places like that in There were miles, some places in Texas, you'd go 20 miles, you wouldn't see any kind of business or anything. And Texas is a huge, huge state. I think Florida, New York, and Texas have to be the three longest states. New York City is something from the time you enter New York, from one end of New York to the other could be 100 miles. How many hours? 7 hours to Maine. That's 250 miles. 300. Could be 450 miles long, New York. Florida is 600 miles from Miami, 700 from Key West. And I don't know how big Texas is, but I remember being in Texas. And when I looked at the map, I said, this is the kind of place you need to have extra 10 gallons of gas in your vehicle. I didn't get good mileage on that truck at all. But that was fun, going across country. I liked that. I did that. I went by myself, but with my dog. And I left somewhere. I was not home for Thanksgiving. And I got back Easter Sunday morning. So November, December, January, February, March, April. 6 months I was gone. And I put 30,000 miles on that van. I paid $300 for it. And after I put the clutch and the tires, I needed one more clutch after that. And then, so I put 2 clutches and 1 set of tires. I came back. The tires I had bought were relatively good tires. So they lasted, and it was all road miles. There was no rocks or anything like that. So the tires were good for a few more years. And then in 1993, just before I left for Florida, what did I do with that van? I brought the van to Florida. I forgot. I brought that van to Florida. That's the van I brought to Florida with my 2 kayaks on top of the roof and my tools. Yeah. So, and then I kept that van on my property till around 2007, 2008, and I sold it for $400 as junk. I sold it for $400. So I paid $300, and then I paid $300 in 1988. 10 years later, I sold it for $400 for junk. And it still ran, except that now instead of being able to crawl through the rear wheel fender wall, now you could almost walk through it. It was huge, the hole. It's like 30 inches high and 4 feet wide. And the seats were rotted out so bad you had to tie wire them to the frame, to the chassis. So if you made a left-hand turn or a right-hand turn too hard, the seat would want to fall over. And if the tie wire was rusty, the seat would fall over. And you have to retie it. And there was only 1 seat in the front anyway. The other seat was a milk crate. That was a good van. Good investment. Good investment. Okay, let me have some more water. Ah, 4 gulps, 7 bubbles. Gotta like that. Now, I don't think there's anything else. I think I covered it all, what I was going to cover today. Last year in Ohio was a doozy, said Louis Pagan Ponce. I was in a small shuttle bus, shuttle jeepney, coming from, there was actually yesterday morning, and I'm coming from the BQ Mall where I met my travel agent, and and was in the shuttle bus, and it was cool yesterday morning. It was not hot. And one of the ladies had on a sweatshirt, and I said, "Hey, Connie Ford, you're in Los Angeles now?" I don't remember where you used to live, but I don't remember it being Los Angeles. Hello, Connie. Thanks for stopping by. So I said to the lady, "It's very cold Bugnow today, yeah?" But it wasn't cold. It was just like, instead of being 85, it was 80. And she goes, "Yeah, Bugnow," because she had like a jacket. And 80 degrees, they have jackets and hats on. So I said to the lady, "It's going to snow. Today's going to snow today." "Really?" She says, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, the news, it said that it might snow today in the Philippines." And there was a man a few people away. He said something in Visayas, and she started laughing. Okay. Connie's always been in the Philippines. Are you the Connie Ford that used to be on my Patreon account? I remember that. But then I remember a fake Connie Ford, so I don't know which one is real anymore. But I do remember you. A Connie Ford used to be on my Patreon account. So thanks for that, if that was you. So the man told her that it wasn't going to snow, but maybe she misunderstood me. I don't know. But she said, "Oh, yeah, snow?" I said, "Oh, yeah, today it's going to snow in the Philippines." She didn't say it west. It's a joke. I don't think it ever snowed in the Philippines. I do think I have a problem right here, though, with a mosquito. Yeah, second mosquito in 2 days. That means that it's mosquito season, yeah? I got them. Mosquitoes. I hate mosquitoes. All right, Connie Ford, I don't know if you're going to answer, but I'm gonna end this live stream now. I'm going to go outside and do something. I'm going to check my mail. I'm going to check my Skype. Oh, I could talk about trying to buy a rebar bender. I tried to buy another rebar bender this morning through Carousel. I could show you this file. I went on eBay the other day looking for an item. I didn't want to buy it. I wanted to know how much it cost. This is how much the internet, how much information the internet has about you. So I went on the internet to look for a seal kit for the Traco, 2 seal kits. It turns out they're $200 a piece, and I don't have the equipment to change the seal. Could I? Yes. Take days, maybe weeks, if it's the right seal kit. So I didn't buy the seal kit, but I only looked at the price of the seal kit. Do you know I've received 4 emails from eBay trying to sell me not only that seal kit, but 3 others that have nothing to do with my search for a seal kit. So now they're proactively sending me emails to buy stuff I didn't even inquire about. But that's just one problem. So I go on Carousel this morning, and I'll show this to you. The amount of X's next to each phone number represents that I called them, that number. But I also have, which I won't show you, 2 chats for 2 different companies and 2 emails for 2 different companies since 7 o'clock this morning, and no one has responded to buy a different rebar bender. And then the bottom line is that I looked through my files And the rebar bender that they said has the 4WK motor in it is a three-phase motor. And on the internet, they changed, because of my request, what that motor did. They now put that the motor is a 220 volt motor, but it's a three-phase 380 volt motor. So they're trying to sell people a rebar bender for 167,000 pesos with a 220 volt motor that has a 4WK motor in it, which is three-phase motor. So now they're lying. Because it was important to me to get a two-phase, single-phase 220 motor, they changed the advertisement to say 220 volts. This is the kind of fraud that goes on the internet. So I'll show you this. I did not receive... I'm going to crop that one out of there, delete that. Hold on a minute. I got oil. I clean my glasses. Yeah, so they changed the advertisement to make it look like it's a 220 volt motor, but then at the very bottom, here's the, they never responded to my email. That's see the bottom, it's 4kW motor. And then my question is this machine 220 volt single phase or three phase? So the 4K at the bottom, that means that motor is a 380 volt three-phase motor. And yet it's listed on the website as a 220 volt motor. And here's the file. This is getting to be ridiculous. So one of the rebar benders was 123,000. It's not the one I want, but it's to the same company. So see the X's up here? X's. And then on the next page, I have my email address, so I'm not going to show that to you. But this is how many times I called this number, plus about 10. This one is way more than 8 or 10 plus, but when I start counting, that's when I start counting. And it's a rebar bender from Carousel. This one, let me see before I show you the next part of that. Yeah, this is the one, this is the false advertising. Motor power 4kW, 220 volt. Total weight 325 kilograms, right? So what is 4K? Motor power 4kW, right? So let's copy that. Let's copy that piece. And then we're going to Google motor power 4kW and watch what shows up. First, I have to hide this. Watch what shows up. Motor power 4K W. Motor power on the top here 4kW. Three phase 380 volt. Three phase 380 volt. Three phase 380 volt. Three phase 380 volt. Three phase. So they have now changed what the voltage is, and they are now lying as to whether or not it's 220 or 380 volts. Because had it been 220, I would have bought it. But their answer was, you can change a three-phase motor to two-phase, and you can. but it'll cost you a couple $100 in parts, and you have to put a whole new system into the electronics. An electrician has to do that. And every time you turn the motor on, you have to turn a switch on and turn a switch off. Otherwise, you'll burn up the motor with the new added system to get the motor to excite. So they lie now. Now they're lying about whether or not the motor is two-phase, single-phase, or three-phase. The amount of fraud on the internet is amazing. All right, I'm going to go back to my comments. That's it. I was the last thing I wanted to discuss. Connie Ford, no one on my Patreon page watches the videos. Nobody. If I post a video to my Patreon page, I posted one of me goofing around with the dentist and his secretary after work. It's like a 12-minute video. It's nothing important. It's just that I didn't want to put that on public. I put it as a Patreon video. Some videos, there's nothing illegal in it. We're just talking and joking around in the back of the dentist office. And I posted that a week ago. It got 2 views. So there are 10 Patreon members. It got 2 views. Some of the videos I post don't ever get a view. No one on Patreon watches the videos. Nobody. I don't. My Patreon videos get 2 or 3 views. And then I had a new subscriber this week for Patreon at the $50 level. She hasn't watched any of the videos. She goes, I don't watch videos. You don't watch videos? No, I just support channels. It's okay, thank you. But so a $50 per month member on Patreon, which there are a few, none of those members watch my videos. One does. And but the other few, they don't. No one watches the videos. My Patreon videos get like 1 or 2 or 3 views maximum. So even when I had like 17 subscribers on Patreon, no one watches the Patreon videos. They don't. They just want to help the person who has the channel continue doing what they know. It costs money to do what I do. It costs a lot of money to do what I do, and my time. So yeah, okay. Well, thanks. I don't necessarily care whether you become a member or not. You know I don't care about that. I just do remember your name. Okay. That's it. There's nothing else that I wanted to talk about now. So I have no mail back from those 2 companies I sent mail to. I did buy... Why would... You know what? I think I remember seeing your name in the blocked. I think I remember seeing your name in the blocked, on people that are blocked on my channel, actually. And I think I remember seeing it this morning, actually. I was looking, one of my wrenches blocked somebody by accident, I guess. I don't know. But I actually think I remember seeing your name. That's why I said someone made a fake account with your name on it. Maybe that was you. Maybe somebody blocked you because of... having moderators is good and bad. I have good moderators, but sometimes they make mistakes, or they just, they've just blocked. A lot of times people get blocked by complete accident because you push the button and the comments move, and the person you blocked is not the person you wanted to block. That's possible too. Anyway, thank you. I'll unblock you. And then So I ordered two more things on Lazada. Another pair of pants that one of my subscribers got me, a pair of Dickies, and they paid 1,500 pesos for those Dickies, $30. And then another thing, and I got a pair of Dickies for $816, which is a good price. Well, they only had one pair. I ordered the only one pair they had left, and I think it's coming today. And then I ordered a rebar tying machine. You want to talk about the blatant ignorance of the people that are designing the web pages to sell tools? I'll show you it. I'll show you complete and utter disregard. Hello, Jollibee. Jollibee Ashkill. These are the tomatoes. Isabella tomatoes that I told you that I bought 6 cases from New York. Isabella tomatoes. I think you were the one. I'm pretty sure you were the one talking about the tomatoes. So let me just show you the complete and utter disregard. Thank you. You enjoyed my Ohio. I had some fun on the road. I met people from in every state, and I'm not a paranoid person, to party with people that I don't know. I mean, I don't have that much money on me, so killing me is probably not on their mind. Most of the people that you meet along the road, they just want to party. When I was in, where was I? Yellowstone, I think it was. Oh, God, the people you meet there are from all over the world. They rented mobile homes and buses and vans and sleeping in the back of their station wagons. That was pretty cool. And I never had a problem. And in fact, the only problem I ever had on the road ever was in Yellowstone. The guy who I parked next to, we literally barbecued and drank with each other on and off for 3 days while we were moving around the park. And one day I woke up in his van. He had a dog and I had a dog. And one day I woke up and his van was gone. He had stolen my dog's leash, which was a piece of cable with a little snap on, for the collar. It was a 20-foot piece of 1/8 inch cable. That was the biggest problem I had on the road in 6 months. And he was a pretty cool dude, too. I mean, but he stole my leash. That was the only problem I ever had on the road. Ever. So let me show you something about how they don't advertise at all. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. Lazada. Okay, here we are. I'm getting there. I should have just did it this way. Hold on a minute. Lazada, I have so many messages. Order being processed. Okay, that's November 18th, okay? Let me show you how these people do business. They do business terribly, okay? Order status. Now, I have to sign in again. Hold on. I'm going to show you something. You're not going to believe it. You cannot figure out what you're buying according to the way it's worded on the website. It's not possible. And I'm going to prove it to you right now. It's not possible to know what I just paid 9,000 pesos for. It's just not possible. Okay? So, let's go to the order itself. It's not possible to know what I bought. And I don't care that it's either one of what it says in the description. But it's not possible to know what I just paid 9,000 pesos for. And that's the problem. And this is not just this one item. So I bought this item on the 18th. So let's go to the item. The item is an 8, see what it says right here? 8 to 34 millimeter, right? That means 8 millimeter to 34 millimeter. And then it says rebar tying machine. And then it tells you that it's an electric cordless rechargeable rebar tying kit. And then the battery size. And then it goes on to say it's a handheld electric tying tools for 30 to 60 millimeter tying range. See now, 30 to 60 millimeter is that big. That's how big 30 to 60 millimeter is. 8 to 34 is that big. So, now do they have 8 to 34 millimeter rebar tying machines? Yes, they do. But this one says it's both. How can it be both? How can it be 8 to 34 millimeter or 30 to 60 millimeter? It can't be both. And there's no, it's not like it comes with a separate set of jaws for 8 to 34 and 30 to 60. There is one that does that, but it's up in the $700 range. This one is in the $200 range. So I don't know whether I bought an 8 to 34 or I bought a 30 to 60 millimeter. What I do know is that I bought this machine and it's bought and paid for, and that it's coming this week. And, well, it's coming before the 18th, the 28th, what is it, 28th, 27th? It's coming sometime this week. So what does it say? Mod 880? Go ahead and try to look that up. That would be impossible. Then, if you go here, it just shows you the reason I bought this one, simply because it is either 8 to 34 or 30 to 60, and I can use both. And then whatever it is, when it comes, I'll be able to use both, or one or the other. And then if it's a 30 to 60, then I'll go online and specifically search for an 8 to 34. If it's 8 to 34, I'll specifically go online and buy a 30 to 60. The reason I bought this gun is because it has 2 batteries. If you'll notice in the kit, it shows 2 batteries. The rest of that is just peripheral garbage. I have extra rolls of wire. So, what else does it have? The reason I bought it, it has a high capacity lithium battery, which means nothing, but it does. And then the rest of it has. The reason I bought this machine is because it has the strapping tightness can be adjusted. That's why I bought this machine, because that's important. And that's the only reason that I bought that. I think my Lazada order is here now. No, but that's what his motorcycle sounds like. I'll leave that door open. Yeah, so it's impossible. There's no way to know what this machine is. So I bought this machine, because I know I need both. So when I get it, then I'll know what I bought. So I spent $200 not knowing what I was buying. But I need both, so one way or another, I'll use this machine. I wish it was that simple for the rebar bending item. I'm going to try that phone number again, which I have on speed dial. And I've called, I don't know how many times. I probably made 50 phone calls this morning while I was doing other stuff. It's busy. All right. So this is what you got to go through when you're buying a machine. And then look at the garbage that they send you along with it. Look at this. Look at the date. Look at the date. Look at this is the garbage that they send you with the machine. Wait a second. There's stuff in there I don't want you to see. Yeah. Look at, you wouldn't believe this. Look at this. Dates. Dates. Estimated delivery. November 25th to December 9th. That is 14 days. 9 and 5 is 14 days. So they give you a 14-day window from an item that's coming from Manila. Why? And then what else did they have that was nonsense? It's in Bonifacio Global City in Manila. So it's in Manila. This tool is in Manila, and it's a 14-day window. Why can't they narrow it down? Why can't they narrow it down to within, 48 hours? It's coming from Manila. Or just tell you a 5-day window or 4 days. 14-day window, really? So for 14 days, you can't make a plan to go somewhere because you already paid for this tool. This is not a COD order. And why is it not a COD order? Because they canceled so many orders from me. Out of the first 19 orders I made to Lazada, I got 9. And then the one of those 9 was the, I forgot the name of the phone, 5G phone by some major company. It took like 7 weeks to get the phone. And I said, well, what happens if the phone breaks? Well, you'll have to send it back, sir. And I said to the driver, how long do you think it could take for you to come pick it up, a week, and then for the phone to go back to China? Was it a how? I don't remember the name of the phone. And then for it to come back, he goes, it could be from 6 to 12 weeks. So I said, no, that's not what I agreed. I would be out 50,000 pesos for the phone, and I wouldn't have a phone for 6 to 12 weeks. And when it came back, there'd be no reason to believe that it would be working, and then I'd have to ship it out again. So I could not have a phone for half a year if it broke twice. I don't want that. So because I canceled that order, now it's all COD. But I canceled the order because when I ordered it, it said you will receive your phone in 3 to 5 business days, and it took 6 weeks. So they didn't keep their word, and because I canceled the order, they got mad at me. Or the computer got mad at me. Or their mother got mad at me. I don't know who got mad at me, but now they only do COD. It's hard to live here. It's really hard to live here. So today my order is coming. Today my order is coming between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. I'm home anyway. Doesn't really matter. But I didn't get it's an amazing place to live here. It's so freaking hard to order stuff here. And if you go into, if I go into Build-A-Ware and I want to buy this rebar tying machine, they don't even know what it is. Not only do they not know what it is, they won't look online for it, because if it's not in their store, in stock, Nobody, until you get into the back office, will even look to see if another one is available. So if they had something in stock and it's not in stock anymore, all the representatives for Builder USA is out of stock, sir. Out of stock. That's all they know how to say. They don't know. They can't have access to the warehouse to go look to see if one is in stock. They won't go into the back room to see if one is in stock from somebody that works on a computer. They only know if it's not on the shelf, it's out of stock, and there's no way to know if it's ever getting stocked. And then, if it's not on the shelf, first thing they say it's out of stock. And when you ask them when it's coming, when do you think the stock is back in? Come back tomorrow, sir. With no authority to say come back tomorrow, with no knowledge that there's going to be one coming in tomorrow. They don't know. It may never come back in. It might be 3 weeks from now, but they will tell you come back tomorrow. And if you come back tomorrow and ask when would be the next time you come back, you come back tomorrow, or you come back tomorrow, or you come back in a few days. But they have no understanding if the part is ever going to be in stock again. Nothing. They just tell you come back tomorrow. Don't ever ask for directions or knowledge from a worker in the Philippines. I went to hire a truck, which I can do, to move my cargo container, and I can't tell you. I asked one man, and that man said, ask that man. So that man that I asked, the second man, he works on the truck. So you'll have to ask the driver. So who's the driver? So he points to the other man. This is yesterday morning at 6:30 in the morning. He points to the other man. So I go to the other man. I said, sir, can I rent this truck for you by the hour? Yes, sir. How much? I don't know, sir. You'll have to talk to the boss. Where's the boss? The boss is over there. And it was too far away for me to deal with it. I was on my way to the city. But so I took 3 people to tell me to go to see the boss. Even though I asked all 3 people, can I rent the truck? They all said yes, but no one knew how much it was. Finally, I'm going to have to go see the boss, and I'm not ready for it anyway. But don't ask for directions. Don't ask for prices. Go to the boss and get it in writing. And then get it notarized with 3 copies, and then don't give them a deposit until the job is done. You pay in full when the job is done. Anything less than that, you'll wish you had listened to my advice. Okay, I'm done. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. I'm done. It's that time. I'm going to have my lunch, and then I'm going to go outside and play in the yard. Bye-bye for now. Have a nice day. Thanks for listening. Connie, I'll do that now. Not that it matters, but I don't know why you're blocked. But I do remember seeing you blocked, so sorry about that. I'll talk to you guys later. I'm Bing Permy, which means take care always, from the Philippines, baby. And Lewis, if you're still listening on your way to Ohio, send me an email. Let's talk. Send me an Ohio phone number, cell number for whatever state you're in. I can call you on the phone. Thanks, and bye-bye for now. I'm Bing Permy, which means take care always, from the Philippines, baby. That's right.